Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when you're moving out. I said, when you're moving
Top of the morning,
out.
Dan and Amy. That theme music means it's time for our weekly confab with Wirepoints.org. This week it'll be Mark Glennon, who's the founder and executive editor of Wirepoints.org. Tracy Porter is a Cook County traffic court judge who threw Trump off the ballot. It's astounding.
She was appointed, though, from traffic court to that higher position. But yeah, traffic court.
It's just an astounding commentary on Cook County, on Chicago, and Illinois. Here was George Washington Professor Jonathan Turley's reaction to the 9-zip decision overturning the Colorado Supreme Court decision and essentially reinstituting Trump on the ballot in the states where he had been kicked off, which would be Colorado, Illinois, and Maine.
It's obviously sweeping. There aren't any real dissents, so it does look like it is unanimous, at least on the result. What they have a disagreement on is whether the court had to go as far as it did. Now, the most practical result of this is that the voters will be able to vote for the candidate that they prefer. This was a critical moment for this court in history. After all of the years we have spent in this republic, we came to a point where these states claimed that they could unilaterally bar the leading presidential candidate from ballots to prevent people from voting for Donald Trump. The court here spoke with a strong, and it appears unanimous voice, at least on the result, that that's not going to happen, that voters will vote. They'll make their own verdict, regardless of what happens in cases involving President Trump. They will cast the most important verdict of all. They will vote for the next president of the United States.
I suppose you can understand the confusion. You know, when we sent Obama to Washington to scale the Chicago model nationally, 15 years down the road, you would think, yeah, well, why don't we just do the Soviet elections that we do in Chicago, too? If we don't want somebody to be considered for office, then we just get rid of them. So, I guess I sympathize with Tracy Porter. It's the culture that birthed the Tracy Porters of the world, didn't it? Mark Glennon joins us now. Mark, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
You bet, Dan. Amy, thanks for having me.
You're an officer of the court, practicing attorney, or at least were. It's just it really is sort of a surreal place when Tracy Porter can decide if America can vote for Trump. That's what they think, really, that this is somebody like her thinks that.
Really appalling. And in taking away your right to vote for Trump, all she did was, this is Turley's line as well, cut and paste from the Colorado decision. She did no analysis on her own, entirely just borrowed that. And with that, she tried to take away your right to vote for Trump. Thank goodness the court did speak with one voice on this and knocked it out in a pretty comprehensive way, ruling basically that the federal government's job, it's the federal government's job, not the states, to take a look at Article 14 if it ever applies. So it was a great day for the Republic, finally, to have the court rule that way.
Yeah, I guess, if you're a center-right voter, your vote doesn't matter here. So I guess, again, the thinking is, well, let's just make them not matter everywhere. Anyway, that's where things are at. And it speaks to something else, though. There's this other Soviet election going on here locally, primary election. You have Eileen Burke, the judge, Cook County judge, running against Clayton Harris for the nomination to replace Kim Foxx. And as far as I can tell, I don't know how close you've been watching this. You think this would be of more interest. It doesn't seem like it's generating much interest. You think it'd be more of interest after the last 8 years of Fox. But there doesn't seem to be much difference between the two candidates, other than maybe their financiers. They both support the Pritzker-Purge law, the Safety Act, for example.
Yeah, we don't pick candidates. We can't endorse one candidate or another in that. It does seem to be picking up in terms of contributions. It's really ginned up last week. But the key is turnout. These off-year elections get so little turnout, and the Chicago Teachers Union and the rest of the Democratic machine is so effective at driving turnout. Who knows what's going to happen in this?
Yeah, but who cares?
Clayton Harris was handpicked by Tony Preckwinkle, and
but who cares?
He wants the support of Kim Foxx.
Who cares? Is my point. What's the difference? Is there a difference between Burke and Harris that's demonstrable? I don't see it.
Well, aren't they different on smash and grabs? I thought that they,
Oh my God.
Well,
they both
300 to 1,000. If you steal $300, then it might be a felony as opposed to $1,000.
Talk about bailing out the Titanic with a teaspoon. I mean, is that the big difference? Is there anything else? You got anything else?
That's all I got.
Am I missing something?
No, that's it. It's going to be really interesting to see what the tone of Chicago voters is in this. And, there might be a lot of crossovers in this election. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll have to wait till to see what the results are.
Yeah, but here we're in the same place we were after Daley, the same place we were after Rahm, same place we were after Lightfoot, now the same place we were after Fox.
Same place, you mentioned Preckwinkle. Preckwinkle's the center of power on this. She's the one
why wouldn't she be? And who's doing anything about it? My point is this: those places we've been at, we've had all these opportunities, all these moments where instead of Craig Duchossois throwing $100,000 away on Eileen Burke, pretending there's a dime's worth of difference between the two candidates on the left, and there's these same financiers that are sometimes Republicans and sometimes Democrats, and can't figure out who to support when it's who's the less frothing at the mouth Marxist that I can support, rather than taking the opportunity to say, hey, let's find a center right candidate. Let's put somebody credible up. Let's actually, rather than being dilettantes, so we can say, yeah, I'm sort of involved in that race in a cocktail party. Oh yeah, I supported this person. Like feigning that you're some sort of city or state elder. There are all of these opportunities where those who are so enlightened and so engaged and self-styled civic leaders could have said, let's get together. How about we put together a little group and we actually find some candidates and we develop some candidates and we support that candidate. Let's put up somebody that can win the Cook County State's Attorney's race that doesn't support the lawlessness and the emptying out of Cook County Jail and the turnstiles for habitual violent offenders. But no, they don't do that, ever.
You described that as center right. I would challenge you in that it's centrist. Illinois is a moderate state. Many of the things that you say, that Wirepoints say, are centrist. We represent the majority of things. The far left has punched way beyond its weight in elections, and people call us conservative. Well, go down the list. I challenge anybody to name one policy position that Wirepoints has that isn't supported by the general public and shown by polls that way. With one exception, and we really stand up for the First Amendment, and I want to emphasize this, Dan, because you mentioned Schellenberger in your last piece.
Yeah.
That is a topic that has not sunk in to the general public, but the extent to which the federal government colluded with tech platforms to suppress the last vote in the last election in 2020, and has done it for a number of years. It is out of control. This is finally going to have a hearing next week in the Supreme Court. A decision will be in by June. I hope finally the public comes to recognize the extent to which they're being manipulated.
Talking about the city of Chicago, so we have a couple of things going on in terms of the customary rent seeking and sort of, empire building, the meddling into areas that government is not particularly good at, but doesn't stop them, like economic redevelopment and real estate development. So The Reimagine LaSalle Street, that's underway. That's supposed to be $1 billion, which should probably be some multiple of that, to reimagine commercial buildings into, residential buildings, maybe subsidized residential buildings in the financial district. And then you've got the push for the White Sox and the Bears to sort of combine their interests for new stadiums and speak with one voice in terms of how much they want Reinsdorf for his stadium and South Loop and the Bears for any potential stadium they would want in Chicago.
Yeah, imagine that people who hate capitalists reinventing LaSalle Street. This isn't going to work. Residential. I mean, come on. There's no green space. The whole infrastructure, the things that you need for a good residential neighborhood. There's not going to be enough demand for residential in that area that's so troubled, and that's a scary problem. The doom loop we have going on with those office buildings. The Bears and the White Sox. There's a lot of money that's needed there. I tend to think they're going to end up staying where they are. You'll see the Bears playing at Soldiers Field, but we'll see if somebody puts up the huge amounts of money that's required to do this. I doubt it's going to happen.
And I don't think if Reinsdorf gets what he wants, I think they're going to move to Nashville, don't you?
Wouldn't want to speculate on that, but boy, you can't pay for a winning team with the kind of attendance they have at I still call it Comiskey Park, and that's a real downer for him. So I don't know what he's going to do.
Yeah, well, also Nashville doesn't want the Sox; they want their own team, and Manfred has said he's going to expand the league by 2 teams before he retires in a couple of years. Nashville would be probably at the top of the list to get its own team. So don't be so sure that Jerry Reinsdorf has a soft landing with the kind of money he's asking for anywhere in particular. Speaking of big tabs, this uniparty. Susana Mendoza saying the federal government owes us $500 million for all the money we're spending on migrants. I suspect that's a drop in the bucket. I also suspect that the Biden administration couldn't care less what Susana Mendoza wants. But do we have a handle on what the spend is by state and in particular city and county government on the migrants in Chicagoland?
Yeah, it's something like $150 billion a year nationally, 3 or 4 billion at least in Chicago at the run rate. We don't really know because nobody tabulates this stuff. It's an entirely false narrative to focus on the 35,000 migrants who have been bust up here from Texas. We have 500,000 or 600,000 illegals in Illinois already. That's been documented by many sources. It's not just those asylum seekers. They're coming across the border, and the other ones are the dangerous ones because they're the gotaways. They include criminals out of the jails and everything. They're not turning themselves into immigration officials to try to seek asylum. And the asylum seekers, by the way, they're almost all liars. They're trying to claim that they're political refugees, they're economic refugees, so they're properly called illegals for sure, in my opinion. But yeah, this is Mendoza picked out a very small part of that cost to quantify. She apparently is making it as part of an attempt. She went to Washington to get reimbursement from the federal government, so taking a different pocket from taxpayers. But do not rely on that number that she's got that up there. We've published on this. We've estimated the numbers, and when you figure in the allocable share of all the local expenditures and the federal government expenditures for Illinois refugees, it's in the billions.
Mark Glennon, founder and executive editor of Wirepoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Mark, thanks for joining us.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. A storm is on the horizon. Plan ahead. Call now to prepare generators for storms and potential power outages. Call 630-834-6000, 630-834-6000, or charlesequipment.com.
Guys, if